back to ITV Nightlife, where we feature the best of Pacific Northwest nightclubs. I'm your host, Darren, and right now we're sitting in deep in Sea Sound Lounge with the one, the only, Paolo Mojo. Paolo, how's it going this evening?
Very good.
Awesome.
Nice to see
well, thanks
you.
for coming to Seattle and coming on
Always
ITV. Yeah, so, wow. New York. Damn, the world. Is there a place you haven't been and now you're in Seattle? Tell me a little bit about the tour you're on right now and what you're doing here at Sea Sound Lounge tonight.
Okay. Well, the plan for me this year after the Miami conference, which finished last week, was to always go on a world tour. And the first stage of that was obviously to go through North America. So essentially that's what I'm doing right now.
So you started in Miami. You were there, was it last weekend?
Till last Monday. This Monday,
yeah.
This Monday.
Yeah, I heard it was awesome. Bryce was there from Sea Sound Lounge. Said it was phenomenal. It always is.
It was good. But I mean, this year the weather held up. It was great vibe. Lots of friends there. Yeah,
so is Seattle your first city outside of the Winter Music Conference?
No.
Or?
DC.
Okay.
Vancouver last night.
Okay.
And Seattle tonight. And San Francisco tomorrow.
Yes, and after San Francisco,
I have 2 nights at home.
Oh, you're going
and
back
then I
home.
go to Beijing in China. And I'm in Asia for 3 weeks, Australia for 2.5, then all the way to South America, 2 weeks in South America, back to Europe at the end of May, Europe, May and June. It just goes on. It just goes
The next
on.
few months are just going to be a little boring for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I deliberately kind of front-loaded a lot of studio time into the first 3 months of the year because I knew that the touring section of the year was going to be quite intense, sort of March to June.
So when you're not spinning, you're at home.
Yeah.
Do you have a certain genre? Well, first of all, what kind of genre do you play, or do you like to play?
It's all house music, but I do like techie influenced things. I mean, I play a lot of techno, I play a lot of tech house. I play some progressive house. But it always has a bit of tech, a bit of funk, a lot of rhythm, an electronic edge to it. I think that's probably a common thread that runs through what I play.
And when you're home, what kind of music do you listen to on your off time?
I like all sorts, from Baroque classical to late 70s new wave to really cheesy pop music. I often listen to a lot of pop music to get ideas for hooks because I think a lot of clever music is written in that genre and you can kind of reappropriate some of those ideas into more techno-based dance music. So yeah, I often listen to, a lot of stuff really and get inspiration that I can feed into what I do as well.
Nice. Now, I was surfing your MySpace today a little bit and getting a little bit of information on you before the show. And there's a quote on there that says, "Nothing runs an average like a zero." Now, is that something you live by, or is that something you've learned along the way?
No. It's nothing ruins an average.
Nothing ruins an average.
Yeah. And the only meaning to that is that my friend Kaz, driving me home from a gig one day, just came up with this comment about keeping your mileage at a consistent level. And he said, remember, nothing ruins an average like a zero. So the idea was that we were, perpetual motion. We didn't want to stop. So I just I changed that comment from time to time just to reflect how I'm thinking. So
awesome.
No significant meaning.
Nice. And speaking from time to time and friends and people you've met along the way, a while ago you were playing with John Jigweed and back in the day. And tell me a little bit about that experience. It was a long time ago, but
John's a friend, but in the early days of my career, say 5 years ago, he was quite instrumental in giving me some opportunities to play at his Bedrock Club night, and also he gave me a lot of exposure on his KISS radio show, his Transitions radio show. And I think that's pretty typical of John as a guy, actually. It's not just me, he's helped so many other people to come through, and he gives people a platform, and it's something that he's well known for, and it's deserved, He's great in that sense.
Yeah, and out of all these years of experience, of you playing, touring, doing everything, you've actually created your own label.
Yes.
It's now
Oosh Records.
Oosh Records.
That's right.
So, and Oosh Records, what can we expect to come out of your years of knowledge from Oosh Records? What do you got mixing in the pot right now?
Well, I think that's a pretty good question when you say years of knowledge, because one thing I learned with my previous record labels, I used to run some other labels, and they didn't go so well. Ushi's going very well. Ushi's got a lot of support from the right people, but the reasons are I have the right team behind me. I think as you get older, you learn what you're good at, and more importantly, you learn what you're not good at. And I'm not good at running a record label. I'm good at DJing. I'm pretty good at producing music. I'm not good at administrative stuff, you know. So I have very good people who look after that. They look after my music career, and they're helping me to make Ush, really exciting new record label. Yeah. And Ush is primarily about me. It's an outlet for me to get my music out there on my terms and on my schedule. The reason I set it up is that remixes I was commissioned to do, there'd be problems with them, or the record label would get into difficulties, or they wouldn't like this, or they wouldn't like that. I got frustrated with it. I wanted to get my music out there on my terms, on my agenda, and that's what Ush is all about.
Yeah. And speaking of your music and your agenda, of your terms, when you plan a set for the night, is it something that's in your head, premeditated, or do you just get out there and just pull up whatever the crowd's feeling and sort of mix it all together? How do you compile your selection for the evening?
No, I mean, I think if you ask a lot of other DJs, you'll probably get a similar response. I mean, I obviously have a set of tracks that I will want to play during the evening, particularly in my own stuff, especially if I have new stuff to play. But I wouldn't plan it. I may have an idea of the first track. I think, yeah, that's the way to set the mood. But beyond that, it's pretty much see how people are feeling. I mean, the people in the club are the other 50%. You get your feedback from them, so it's a two-way thing. It's a chemistry.
And you've had a couple of releases and remixes this year. Can you tell me a little bit about those releases and remixes?
Yeah, well, I've remixed a close pal of mine called Wally Lopez, who's the biggest DJ in Spain. He's a pretty big name in Europe, and we did a remix swap. So he did something for Ush, I did something for his record label Factomania. It's called Sasse Paris. So
Sasse Paris?
English DJ remixing a Spanish DJ with a French record. Very European. I've remixed Patch Park, another hot new act. They're on Sander Kleinenberg's Little Mountain record label. And an old classic called Smoke Belch by the Saviors of Paradise. Okay. That's Andrew Weatherall. So yeah, I've been keeping busy on the remix front as well.
Awesome. And as far as songs coming out, is there a record in the works? An album? Have a title?
I have a single out next week.
Okay.
It's a double A side called Night Law and Home, and it's Ush Records. It's the fifth release on the label, and it was Radio 1, BBC Radio 1's Essential New Tune 3 weeks ago on the Pete Tong Show.
Nice.
So it's got a lot of hype behind it. I'm really happy.
So, with your label, your MySpace, and your website, let's let our ITV viewers know, if you want to let them know, where they can go to find out more information about Paolo
Sure.
Mojo.
I mean, the best place to go is www.paolomojo.com, and that will also give you a redirect to my MySpace. You can find all the information you want to find about me there. It's constantly updated, so
awesome. Again, Paulo, thank you very much for coming on ITV.
Thank you for talking
really
to me.
appreciate you for taking the time.
No problem.
We're going to let you
It's
get
a
out to
pleasure.
people, get on those wheels of steel, have some fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't forget you can go to our website, itvnw.com, where you can register to become an ITV VIP member, enter to win free prizes and win guest appearances on the show. This is Darren and Paulo coming to you from the Seasound Lounge in Seattle, Washington.